My spam folder is flooded in oddly frantic propositions to review some of the strangest consumer electronics you could possibly imagine. A few months ago, I strapped on my snorkel and dove right in. I ended up with robots, wallets, and actual diamonds, and while it was a total blast ripping them to shreds, the sheer variety made the video kind of chaotic. So I'm doing it again, but this time, I'm gonna do it smart. Smart sensors, smart screens, smart screwdrivers. I'm reviewing every smart device that lands in my email, and by smart, I mean crammed to the gills with excess electronics you could rip right out and the product would probably work even better. It's like how the electronics on my face make people think I'm smart. Then my workshop flooded, and it was an entire thing. I made this whole video about it, but the review requests kept on coming, and I kept agreeing, though I will admit I may have kind of stopped reading exactly what I was agreeing to. So imagine my surprise when I receive a 4-foot tall printer, 7 pounds of encrypted 3D filament, and an entire bicycle. And that was just the beginning. 10 products, no mercy. Welcome to Voidstar Lab. Here's the rules. I haven't been paid to feature any of this, I don't sign anything, and the brands don't get to see the video 1 minute before you do. I expect every item to do something useful, do it effortlessly well, and do it at an exceptional value. That doesn't mean I'm expecting a bargain. Things can be expensive, but they better be worth it, and if they're cheap, those corners better be cut real tastefully. If any competitor is strictly better, I award the poodle of product pointlessness, cause why buy a worse product? This used to be the poop of product pointlessness, but it just felt too shitty. If the product is strictly better than every competitor, I award the chef's kiss of categorical conquest. Mwah! Because why buy a worse product? Everything else gets a medal of mediocrity, the grade of which is foretold in the dregs of my McNulty's Darjeeling Supreme. Since today's products are loaded with gimmicky smart crap, I will also hand out gimmicky smart grades. I was given all these products for free, so bear in mind my opinions are hopelessly compromised. We're going to start off today with a 1000-watt death machine, but first, another smart thing I love, you, at least after you try today's sponsor, Brilliant.org. To make yourself smart. It's called brand integration. I don't know about you, but if I have to learn something by watching lectures, memorizing formulas, grinding homework, it's just not gonna happen. If that sounds like you, you should know you're not dumb. You just need a smarter approach. Brilliant.org is a new way to learn science, tech, engineering, and math. Instead of starting with theory and building up, each course reveals a gap in your knowledge, then guides you to a solution that makes sense to you. You first try the problem and then progress through each explanation. If you already know something, you don't have to snooze through a tutorial. And if you're still having trouble, they've got another angle to attack the problem. Brilliant has 70 thoughtfully designed courses from electromagnetism to Python programming to calculating the probabilities at a casino. Each one is portioned into dozens of brief, interesting, interactive lessons that you complete at your own pace in as little as a couple minutes. And since everything builds off each other, if you find yourself out of your depth, a refresher on a lower level topic is just a click away. New lessons are added monthly, including special content by YouTubers like Kurzgesagt and primers on cutting-edge newsworthy stuff like crypto and generative AI. You can try every one of Brilliant's courses for free for a whole month. Just head to brilliant.org/Zack Freedman. Everyone spells my name wrong, so just click the link in the description. The first 200 viewers to do so will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription, which is already quite affordable. Without further ado, let's put yours truly in mortal peril. This 75-pound cardboard monolith contains the Polarna M6 Pro E-Bike, an ominous battery-powered vehicle packing a 1 kilowatt motor, at least on paper. Said paper flips between English and English so abruptly they probably fired the copywriter halfway through the job, and is clearly meant for a different product because assembling this contraption was just inserting the handlebars, unfolding the joints, and latching it all into place. The fork and frame fold in half so you can like shove it in a car, I guess? It just feels wrong to shove a vehicle in another vehicle. It's like that scene in Roger Rabbit where the cab is driving another cab. The M6 Pro's ginormous tires and doofy hydraulics make it look like a mountain bike, but do not be fooled. The motor, batteries, and wiring more than double the weight, so this is a mountain style bike, the way a deli that serves pastrami and cheese is kosher style. This thing is so heavy and so clunky, simply maintaining a cruising speed on muscle power alone is going to make your quad spontaneously combust. But then you notice the safety switch/battery lock on the underside of the frame, which leaves your keys awkwardly dangling but apparently prevents meth heads from ejecting your lipos. And where do meth heads actually sell all the catalytic converters and balls of wire? meth master car. Turn the key, push the button, hit the road, and everything goes absolutely apeshit. The M6 is a pedal assist, so you get going and it says, "I've noticed you've been riding for 27 milliseconds, yet you're not moving lethally fast. Allow me." And you explode down the road. The Polarna M6's motor has 5 speeds, and the lowest is 15 miles an hour. That's really fast. There's no halfway either. It's either off or hi-ho silver away! The M6 does have a throttle lever, but that too seems to ignore every position between 0 and the corner will need a jackhammer to pry that GoPro out of your sternum. This thing just constantly feels one sharp turn away from flinging me over the bars like a human trebuchet. Apart from that, it's pretty nice. You know, the pedals, seat, lights, and other fit and finish are sketchy, no-name, you know, but the Samsung battery and Shimano transmission are, as the kids say, the good sh**. I am a little unnerved by the amount of plastic and pot metal in the takedown latches, but these things should fail closed. So if they break, the bike should fail to unlock, not fail to remain shaped like a bike. The hub motor, oh boy, is a 1 kilowatt powerhouse developed by the company itself, and while I don't have any way to verify their claims, I do live in a state made of mountains. When you're going uphill, you still have to pedal a bit, so you feel like you're helping, but instead of like lurching your way up foot by foot, you fucking rocket up the hill like gravity just turned sideways. Despite the lack of speeds between dead halt and call my lawyer, the M6 is a total blast to ride. It felt solid on the road, it went vroom, and the battery lasted longer than my desire to leave the Never Broke a Bone subreddit. At $1,400, it's not cheap, but a new graphics card wouldn't go ding, would it? My only real objection is, who needs this e-bike? Not city slickers. You are not schlepping this juggernaut onto your fire escape. And it's not suburbanites, unless you want your cause of death to be an Escalade with a bumper sticker of Calvin pissing on Greta Thunberg. I'm gonna bunt and just give this the silver medal of mediocrity. If you're a wuss like me, you should probably buy a model with more granular throttle control, but if your testicles are ironclad and your heart longs to burn rubber down the nearest road, the M6 by Polarna will put a smile on your face by blowing your cheeks over your ears. As for the smart grade, I award Polarna an intergalactic 10-dimensional hyperbrain. Not for the electronics, the interface is actually quite sensible. Nope, for spelling their own name wrong on Amazon. My legs are jelly, my jeans are brown, and I am sick of seeing my life flash before my eyes. I just cannot believe how much of it was spent on Neopets and the Neopets card game. Let us return to this very workshop to review the very furniture upon which I typed these very words. The FlexiSpot E7. It's a desk. It's a standing desk. It's a smart standing desk. It's got buttons and numbers on it. That's how you know it's smart. Press this button for chair ascendance. Press this one to plummet to familiar territory. Press this one to crush your thighs. Press this one to smash your monitors into the ceiling. And they say this is the worst timeline. If you saw that video with my new workshop, you know, the one where my apartment flooded. Do you remember? I remember. You have already snuck a peek at this desk. What I didn't show you is my epic struggle to actually get it from the door into the workshop. Both the tabletop and the frame are rather heavy. The instructions aren't quite IKEA caliber idiot proof, but there's really just a single gotcha. You're gonna need a power drill. I'm assuming FlexiSpot's prime demographic is Zeta males who spent their power tool money on Genshin Impact body pillows, so you know, be advised. Those prone to decision fatigue may wish to grab a teddy bear. The FlexiSpot E7 Pro Plus has 10 sizes of desktop and 5 materials, each in up to 8 colors on 3 choices of frame with 3 finishes per. Optional accessories include cable trays, cable chains, cable clips, power strips, monitor arms, foot hammocks, wheelie feet, pegboards, desk mats, desk drawers, smaller desktops to put on top of your desktop, chairs, and exercise bikes with chairs on them. I got the 59-inch solid bamboo desktop on the standard frame in black, and I can clutter it myself, thank you very much. I deployed the most gratuitous battle station I could, a pair of 27-inch monitors and a 19-inch touchscreen on beefy gas piston swing arms, 60-pound liquid-cooled gaming beasts, studio monitors, Gridfinity organizers, input dinguses galore, and it's my desk, I'll plant my butt on it if I feel like it. The motors don't even break a sweat. Even raised so high it's scraping the asbestos off my ceiling, The monitors barely wobble. I'm gonna level with you, I really wanna hate this desk. It costs 660 bucks, and for that money you get the ability to sit while you work, the ability to stand while you work, and the ability to press a button if you change your mind. It doesn't beg the question, but it does raise the question, get it? Is it worth it? Or is this just precious hipster shit? You know what? It is precious hipster shit, and it is worth it. My 3D printer workbenches are also height adjustable, just turn a crank. But I never do it. I got like 3 dopamine molecules in my entire system, and any effort larger than pushing one button turns a maybe into a this is dead to me. So I think, I'm getting fidgety, let's stand for a while. And then I think, it's too much effort. And then I'm like, what effort? It's one button. Later I think, my legs are tired, I should sit back down. Then I'm like, meh, too much effort. Then I'm like, not this shit again, push that fucking button, you lazy sack of crap. And as it goes back down, I think I should really see someone about this negative self-talk, but I won't, because I'd have to push more than one button. I really want to hate this desk, but I can't. Solid bamboo top and sturdy legs absolutely ranch IKEA's cardboard competition, and this costs less to boot. The closest comparison is the autonomous Smart Desk Pro, but FlexiSpot gives you more desktop options or desktoptions. The tiebreaker is the E7 is confirmed compatible with exercise bikes that are also chairs. I award the FlexiSpot E7 the chef's kiss, and I award its electronic frou-frou a shriveled walnut brain, because it truly improves the product without introducing new problems of its own. Who does that? Now, after how hard I shellacked most of last episode's products, I figured I had burned those bridges so hard you could see them from space. But a couple came back for more. This is the Orange Pi 5, a wannabe Raspberry Pi 4 replacement pack in the same high-powered octo-core chip as that rad Codis Edge 2 from the last episode, except this one has more pins, more ports, and it's broken. Remember when the workshop flooded? You know, I won't stop talking about it. Well, the Orange Pi 5 was on the floor, and now it will no longer boot. Review called on account of rain. But what the apartment flood taketh, the apartment flood convinceth another company to giveth away. Our next item is something I wish I had a few months ago, the Smart Water Leak Sensor Kit by XSense. This is a trio of detector pucks that should go absolutely haywire the instant they come into contact with water. Would they have mitigated the Great Void Star Flood of 2022? Let's find out. The kit includes 3 leak detectors, a wireless base station, and an AC adapter for said base station. The sensors come preloaded with AAA batteries, Deer brand. For those listeners who keep forgetting to tab over and like my videos, the Deer logo has silhouettes of 2 antelopes. Oh, so close. Here's how it works. You plug in the base station, you download the app, big mistake, register an account, bigger mistake, click through this ad, biggest mistake, and program your Wi-Fi deets into the base station. I don't like downloading apps or creating accounts, especially apps that don't need cloud components, especially when they try to upsell me cloud components. So I just use a disposable email address. Back to the hardware. Grab a sensor, hit the button, and freak out because the onboard piezo buzzer is absolutely deafening. Repeat for each sensor. Finally, drop the base station somewhere central, place the sensors any surface where water would be a bad thing, and pray you never need them. These sensors detect water by measuring the electrical resistance between these pairs of terminals. Air, carpet, etc. let basically zero current pass through, but tap water and rainwater do. The downside is you can't stick these on a wall. They don't detect dampness. Enough water has to start pooling to bridge those sensors. Also, water can drip into this exposed buzzer, so try not to leak here in particular. The base station's range is ridiculous. It easily punches through multiple stories. Brooke, I just leaked that our house has multiple stories. And the sensors only seem to wake up and check for water every minute or so, which should keep their batteries going for years. The sensors themselves make noise, and the base station fires phone alerts. If a sensor fails to report in for a few minutes, the app assumes the worst and makes it very clear on your notification screen. These are decent fallbacks. All in all, the system seems to do what it's supposed to. It hasn't fired any false alarms, and it hasn't missed any of my totally accidental test spills. But would this have helped at the old place? The only reason that flood wasn't worse was because I happened to be standing right in front of it at the time. If I were asleep or traveling, this notification and the 3-alarm cacophony would be the only thing standing between us and an even more catastrophic catastrophe. But there is a massive game-breaking design flaw, and it was totally avoidable. You can't use the sensors without the base station. While each sensor puck can detect a spill on its own and let you know about it on its own, It won't, unless it's recently made contact with the base station. The most charitable explanation is it's a power-saving measure to preserve the batteries. The cynical and probably correct explanation is XSense is railroading you into their app so they can shill their Protect Plus plan. Either way, this creates a scenario where the device could detect a leak, but doesn't. A security product that fails to keep you secure for any reason is unacceptable. Therefore, I award the XSense leak detectors the poodle of product pointlessness. Since the product would work great and be actually a pretty solid choice if it weren't for the smart part, I award it this giant Kabbalah cosmic super hyper multi-dimensional turbo tesseract brain. Following on flooded filament, let's feature 4 flavors furnished from Bambu Lab: PLA, high temperature nylon, PETG, and PET, each infused with the power of carbon fiber. I actually got these before the flood, and even though their boxes got completely drenched, their heavy metallized vacuum bags did the job perfectly. Each reel emerged bone dry and tightly wound on Bambu's trademark hole-covered spools, and worked great right out of the box. Technically, the filament isn't wrapped around the spool. The reusable plastic walls are locked around this free-spinning cardboard core that itself carries the filament. Bambu Lab sent these for my cursed filament episode, but I didn't originally think they were cursed. I only found that out now as I investigated the smartness. These little dangly bits are RFID tags. When you load this filament in a Bambu automatic material system, a pair of RFID readers scans these tags and pulls up the material profile. And it's neat how the tags are on the refill, not the spool. So if you put a PETG refill on an old PLA spool, it'll read as PETG. The refills also come with a label to cover the one on the spool itself. That's the attention to detail that really whips my llama. Someone will get that. It's well known that Bambu's filaments are made by Sonlu, who also manufactures. Why'd they make this language so hard? But I am fairly sure these are special blends. Bambu's AMS unit is full of plastic parts that get absolutely reamed by abrasive filaments. I'm assuming Bambu went as low as they can go on the carbon content. The exception that proves the rule is their PETCF, the non-glycolized version of PETG. Compared to its brother, it's tougher and it handles higher temperature, but without the plasticizer, it's massively more prone to warping and curling. To stabilize it, Bambu seems to have added an extra scoop of carbon fiber, and as such, they very clearly warn you to never run this filament through the AMS unit. Here's where they made a misplay. This filament alone does not have the RFID tags. Since the printer's onboard spool holder doesn't have a reader, they don't need to tag the filament, right? Wrong! If you can break your AMS by running this stuff through it, the AMS absolutely must detect it, so it can refuse to run it. It would be smarter to put the tags on this one and not all the other ones. I will admit though, the filament itself works great. The new chassis for my Optigon wearable computers. As for the rest, is the RFID useful or is it just more smart gimmickry? As it stands, it's a net positive with a very large asterisk. You can just throw a spool into your AMS, it reads temperature and fan settings right off the reel, and if you change materials in your slicer, the printer will automatically feed from the appropriate slot. It also makes sure you use the right bed for your material. This is Bambu Labs, their whole shtick is zero effort, which is my favorite amount of effort. Since Bambu printers will run filaments without the tags, and tagged filaments will still work on non-Bambu printers, they're pure upside, right? At least for now, Bambu chose correctly. The tag is not DRM and it does not track how much filament has been used. They could have used this to lock you into their filament, made you throw out the tail end of your spool, and prevented you from ripping the tags off to slap on another brand, but they didn't. So why am I being so uncharitable? Because these aren't just RFID tags. These are the most over-engineered, tamper-proofed, security-hardened RFID tags I have ever seen. Bambu Lab's filament is fitted with the latest Gen 4 MyFair tags with the hardest encryption, and their printer's firmware actually checks for telltale signs of cloning and spoofage. I bought a Proxmark 3, an NFC hacking tool, but I couldn't extract anything except the tag's hard-coded serial number. When I put it in between the tag and the AMS reader to sniff the traffic, I couldn't even get through the encryption. That is way beyond my script kiddie know-how. I did find this guide from the Bambu research group, who has been trying to hack this for at least a few months, but they have also made limited progress, and they're being a little cagey themselves. Bambu isn't using the tags to artificially force you to buy their filament, but they are artificially preventing you from going over their head. They've put real engineering into locking you out, and it's a very weird mixed message that could represent the groundwork for hostile policies in the future. I would like to see Bambu release all of these locks, allow people to make their own tags to preemptively bar themselves from predatory behavior. Let's dish out some grades. The PLA is too expensive, the nylon is way too expensive, and I have no idea what to make about the PET. I'm going to cover that in the final every filament video. I do really like the CF PETG. It's got this nice balance of strength and stiffness, looks gorgeous, and at 35 bucks, the price is great. I award Poodle, Bronze Medal, Tentative Chef's Kiss, and Definite Chef's Kiss respectively. As for the smarts, I award these tags a brain in a jar. Sooner or later, an evil mastermind is going to point these Chekhov's guns right at people like you. Here's a fun fact. The items I am most often asked to review are 3D printers, and I am kind of running out of ways to say, I'm sorry, sir, I cannot spend an entire episode explaining how your Ender clone is different. So when FLSun offered me a non-Ender, non-Prussian, non-Bambu clone with enough smarts for this episode, I jumped on it. This is the FLSun V400, and it is not like the other girls. The V400 is a delta printer. Like more conventional boxy FDM machines, it builds up objects by melting and drawing layers of plastic filament. The difference is, instead of shifting a plate and a nozzle across separate X, Y, and Z axes, a delta printer coordinates 3 motors to move the extruder in all directions at once. The trade-off is all the mechanisms and motors are above the extruder, so with the spool in the holder, the V400 is over 4 feet tall. You better have high ceilings, low tables, or, you know, a very small reel of filament. Apart from looking more rad than your dad, the Delta setup brings some spiffy superpowers. For one, the bed never moves, so the printer actually occupies less table space than like a Prusa. The work in progress also never moves, so you can get these buttery smooth time lapses without the printer having to coordinate with the camera. Deltas can really whip that nozzle around without much risk of skipping steps. The load is always spread across 3 motors, and vibrations and stuff are taken up by the whole machine. The point I'm trying to make here is the V400 can go really fast, and that is FLSun's selling point. The V400 can go V400 millimeters per second. Wowzers! But there are a lot of caveats. It can move 400 millimeters a second, but it certainly cannot print 400 millimeters a second. First problem, the extruder itself. Even though this has an extra long Volcano-style heater block fitted with a high-flow dual-channel CHT-style nozzle, the fact is it just cannot get enough plastic onto the plate each second to keep up with its motion system. FLSun cut corners on the heat block, literally, so they could screw it into the carriage for some reason, but also figuratively by using anodized aluminum instead of copper, or better yet, a Revo-style wraparound ceramic heater. That nozzle is also 0.4 millimeters instead of 0.6 millimeters, which massively limits flow rate right from the get-go. For some insane reason, FLSun glued the nozzle and the sock on with silicone, making it way harder to replace than it should be. As bizarre as adding silicone, what was truly strange is not adding input shaping. See, the faster you want to go, the harder you have to accelerate, because if the printer finishes a line before it can ramp up to top speed, it never, hits top speed. But that asshole Newton with his grody-ass fig cookies insists if you drive your extruder this away, you're pushing the rest of the printer that away. At high speeds, the printer's chassis and the table it's sitting on are still going to be rocking from one move when the extruder finishes like 3 more. So high-speed printers put an accelerometer on each axis, waggle it back and forth, and record how the printer waggles back. The next time an aggressive move sets the printer wobbling, the extruder can just wobble in the opposite direction and cancel it out. The motion input is shaped back to 0. The V400 runs Clipper, an advanced firmware that supports input shaping. And since a Delta printer's bed is nailed down, one sensor could do all axes. But FLSun didn't include one, or even a place to put one. Unless you buy an aftermarket board and print up a bracket, this machine can never come close to performing at its best. Getting infill at 150 millimeters a second is about as zippy as you're gonna get. And that's hardly slow, but it's far below Bambu Lab's new normal. Unfortunately, FLSun fundamentally failed at another unfortunately fundamental part of 3D printing: maintenance. I already touched on the inexplicably inexcusable way they glued in the nozzle, but the extruder itself is a nightmare to open up. This is a common bit of maintenance. This is not something they should be steering users away from, and it makes just routine troubleshooting a colossal waste of time. I hate to do it, but I have to award the FLSun V400 the bronze medal of mediocrity. Its unique design makes it a good choice for oversized prints, especially in VOS mode, but people just don't need printers that are hard to maintain. If they made it easier to strip down, pour the silicone in the trash, and provided better documentation, it would be a different story. Almost. We haven't touched on the smart part of the V400, the control panel. This is actually a standalone product called the Speeder Pad, and because of a single, absolutely unnecessary decision, it is such a complete failure, it effectively takes the V400 down with it. I already mentioned how the V400 runs Klipper, but that's kind of misleading. Klipper doesn't run on the printer per se. All consumer printers receive commands in the form of human-readable G-code, and it's up to the printer itself to translate that series of letters and numbers into a sequence of motor movements. The math gets really hairy because printers use stepper motors that don't turn smoothly, but snap between discrete positions. The printer's CPU has to break the G-code down into thousands of minute jumps and microsecond pauses to smoothly accelerate and decelerate. Klipper splits the workload between the printer's microcontroller itself and a separate computer like a Raspberry Pi. With very little processing power on either end, you get to run dense, complex G-code with tight control faster than the machinery itself can keep up. Enter FLSun Speeder Pad. This packs a handsome case with a touchscreen LCD analytics computer that's preloaded with Klipper and all the trimmings. What's neat is because Klipper runs so lean, this one device can actually control 3 printers simultaneously and still have enough CPU cycles to serve UIs and snap a time lapse. This is actually the controller for the FLSun V400 included pre-configured in the box, but you can buy it on its own to control other printers. At $170, it's a bit spendy, but compared to a Raspberry Pi and an off-the-shelf display and just the colossal pain in the ass that is, deploying Klipper from source, it's neat, tidy, and efficient. You should be able to just plug it in, log in, upload a configuration file, and hit go. Dramatic tension. The Speeder Pad could be an easy chef's kiss.
Dramatic tension.
The only way they could screw it up, dramatic tension, is to make it hard to add your own printer. Dramatic tension! Connecting the Speeder Pad to a new printer isn't hard. It's basically impossible because FLSun disabled root access. Out of the box, this thing only works with the FLSun V400, FLSun Super Racer, and 3 generic profiles you can't do anything with because you can't shell in and compile the printer microcontroller component. You can't even update Klipper itself or add new modules from the official repos. You can only use FLSun's out-of-date clones. For absolutely no reason, FLSun shot themselves in the foot so hard their toenails struck oil. A hero of the people on GitHub by the name of Heos wrote an astoundingly exhaustive guide to purge FLSun's bad decisions and make the Speeder Pad actually control any 3 Klipperized printers. It was a titanic pain in the ass, but I am now running the V400 and my Anycubic Viper with input shaping on a smooth and highly usable interface from a single Speeder Pad. I'm so salty because I really like the idea of this product. Even if you don't care about Klipper, a ready-to-hack Linux box with a built-in touchscreen is useful for a lot of projects. But FLSun took a system that's already straining most people's comfort zones and made even simple tasks literally impossible. They then had the audacity to claim it applies to most FDM 3D printers, but only provide profiles for their own printers. Luckily for everyone but FLSun and my continuing relationship with FLSun, Creality released the Sonic Pad, which rips the Speeder Pad off down to the name and arrives unlocked. All FLSun had to do was nothing, and they f***ed it up. The Speeder Pad gets the poodle of product pointlessness, and by needlessly ruining not only itself, but the V400 it ships with, this smart device betrays a brain so gargantuan, you can play chess against it. I want to be clear, my problem is not with Klipper, Mainsail, or the rest of the stack. If someone has already written config files and a setup guide for your printer, it's honestly worth the headache. Any Linux computer will do, and the display is optional, though I do recommend a touchscreen, and I just so happen to have one to review. What are the odds? Last time I reviewed Elecrow's Crowbot, and while the robot itself was a solid bargain, I thrashed its controllers so ruthlessly, I assumed I'd made mortal enemies of the entire Corvid family. So imagine my surprise when Elecrow reached out again, asking me to review their new Meteor screen. The Meteor is a 10.1-inch multi-touch capacitive touchscreen with HDMI input, a 1280 by 800 resolution, and a crisp laser cut case, probably manufactured by Elecrow's in-house laser cutting service. It's an otherwise unremarkable product, except for the built-in ErgoBled mood lighting, baby! Woo! I immediately realized Elecrow made a colossal mistake by sending me this product. See, it's got 19 increasingly irritating animations, but none of them are sound reactive, and none of them are Ambilight-style mood lighting. The display and the ErgoBleds are as absolutely disconnected as myself and any hope of hitting 500,000 subscribers. The only connection between the display driver and the blinking lights are power and ground, which are bodged directly onto a random capacitor. The ErgoBoard is just some loose WS2812s, a mystery microcontroller, and silkscreen that reads Meteor. What's really odd is there aren't any markings on the driver board at all. No company, no model number, no manufacturer, no design credit, not even like a copyright or version number. Even the box is suspiciously generic. So I did some detective work. I found this Amazon listing for a touchscreen monitor with the same panel, same ports, same black tape on the bezel, same chassis, same laser cut acrylic stand, even the same packed in cable, screwdriver, adapter, and standoffs, just with a different fake brand. Elecrow bought a white label mini monitor, busted it open, slapped on a half-assed ErgoBled board, and flipped it for 8 cents less. The economics of Chinesium production are so convoluted they make Milton Freedman curl up in fetal position and babble even less coherently. The acrylic case is a bit too thick to use this as a portable second monitor for a laptop, and the included standoffs are a little too short for a Pi. 10 inches is a good if gratuitous size for a 3D printer controller, desktop dashboard, or DIY Stream Deck, and 110 schmeckles is a fair price to pay. But the monitor itself, it's a monitor. How do you f that up? Dramatic tension. Oh, we do not do recurring jokes at Star Lab. A monitor is a difficult device to f up, and yet up is the direction this monitor is f***ed. The touchscreen is so insanely sensitive it registers taps before your finger even contacts the panel, and this thing is super laggy. My best guess is the displays were designed for kiosks or storefronts to be placed under thick glass, and when they didn't sell, somebody just whacked together an acrylic enclosure and tried to pawn them off on nerds. But when I say laggy, I mean this thing is super laggy. Like, I have literally never seen a display this laggy. It's like multiple frames of lag. It's definitely the display lagging, not the touchscreen, since the effect also happens on my super elite gaming laptop. Even the ErgoBleds tend to brown out USB ports if you accidentally turn up the brightness, because Elecrow can't program the USB stack to request extra current. I feel kind of bad because Elecrow didn't design the driver board, they bought it off the shelf. Then I remember they could have chosen not to release this product at all, and I don't feel bad anymore. I award the Meteor screen the double-decker poodle salad sandwich supreme, and I award these superfluous ErgoBleds a smoking bisexually lit AI art brain plastered with watermarks from the stock photos site I stole it from. Before Elecrow murders me, get it? I'll admit I now respect their laser cutting service a bit more. The custom middle plate was so crisp it took me a while to realize it wasn't part of the original product. Enough ragging on other people's failures. Let's see some DIY components to help you create your next failure. We got ourselves a double whammy from MakerFabs. They sent 2 development boards featuring the ESP32-W Rover, a microcontroller module with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and excellent support in Arduino. Both of these are downright turgid with onboard peripherals, so let's take a look in our first box, which is more of like a pre-built project. This is MakerFabs ESP32S3 parallel TFT with touch, connected to their MLX 90640 breakout module and mounted in a clear acrylic sandwich style case, presumably lased by their own in-house laser cutting service. Out of the box, this is basically a low-res thermal imager with a 32 by 24 resolution. It's sort of like a camera, but instead of color, each pixel is a non-contact thermometer. The lack of calibration, low resolution, overkill field of view, absence of focusing lens, and inability to record video auto range or compensate for emissivity makes this basically useless as a real-world tool. That doesn't stop my viewers from building projects like it. As individual parts, it's alright. You know, the MLX module is just this non-contact thermometer array reference design on a stick. It doesn't have the level shifting from Adafruit's version, doesn't have the easy mounting options of SparkFun's version, but it does cost half as much as either. The problem is anything you could do with this, you could do better with a thermal camera, a modded webcam, or actually another product we are going to review tonight. A poodle for the MLX 90640, and by extension, all of its breakout boards. The main board has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and a decently sized LCD with a high-speed parallel interface. This company too felt obligated to rename the Groves Quick Stemma Crowtail Gravity 4-pin I2C cable, so this has a pair of MABI connectors. Can one truly reference the XKCD comic about standards if all 15 are the same standard with different names? This display is designed for Leuven GFX, a high-speed graphics library that seems easy to use, but by necessity is going to waste more of your time drawing from primitives than just using an off-the-shelf, graphics engine like Unity or widget toolkit like TK-Enter. I'll be honest, I don't really get the point of these display microcontroller combos. They use too much current for a wearable or a portable project, and if the hardware isn't going anywhere, why not just use full-on computer with, like graphics and stuff? For 40 bucks, the price is fine, but having to do all your graphics from primitives means it's almost never the correct choice for your project. I'm gonna award MakerFabs Parallel TFT a poodle wearing a silver medal of mediocrity. But MakerFabs sent me something else, and it is far more interesting. This is a pair of ESP32 boards with onboard charge controllers, OLED displays. Here's the kicker. DecaWave D1000 ultra wideband modules. That's right, they put a wireless module on my wireless module. The FCC is gonna love this one. UWB isn't just an abbreviation with more syllables than the full name. This is a spiffy wireless system that splits data across a huge spread of frequencies. The higher a frequency, the faster it can transmit, but the more easily it's blocked by stuff like walls, plumbing, and fleshy, squishy meat. By splitting the signal across different frequencies, ultra wideband can use more total transmission power and increase the odds that at least some of the data survives the trip. I expected to find libraries to wrap the raw transmission in useful protocols, like Bluetooth or XB, but it turns out ultra wideband is almost never used to communicate. This sample sketch that shows the signal strength and estimates distance is actually what it was kind of intended for. This shows RSSI and distance, but they aren't related. Distance isn't estimated from signal strength, it's time of flight, and it's infinitely better. One module yells, "What's up?" The other anchor module hears it and responds, "What's up?" First module measures how long it took to hear the response, divides by twice the speed of light, and gets a surprisingly good estimate of how far those signals traveled. Real old reference. You can see that as I walk through the workshop, the measurement stays pretty reasonable, even as the RSSI whips all over the place. Since the average frequency is so high, the resolution is awesome, like centimeters. A pair of modules only lets you see how far you are from the anchor. It's a roll your own air tag. In fact, actual air tags use the same technology. I wish MakerFabs had sent me more of these so I could triangulate my position. That's the main use case. If you're making a self-driving lawnmower, quantifying your cat, or are just that sick of losing your goddamn keys, this is about the most accurate, least cumbersome, short-range location system you can use. These things aren't cheap at 55 bucks each, and remember, you're gonna need at least two. But breakout boards for this module are already 45, and the extra Hamilton gets you Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, CPU, charge controller, and an outdoor readable display. It's a perfect suite of features for mobile projects, and a location-based project is probably also that. Documentation is threadbare, but it does the thing right out of the box, and as somebody who watched BLE beacons collapse under the weight of their own worthlessness, the idea of accurate indoor location on a DIY budget is astonishing. It's astounding and astonishing. It's astounding. I'll give the MakerFabs UWB Pro the gold medal of mediocrity. The only thing keeping it from chef's kiss perfection is MakerFabs just doesn't provide enough help modeling the room, processing triangulated positioning, and just doing other high-level tasks that are basically going to come into every ultra-wideband project. As for the smarts, these smarts are so smart they deserve a brain from a Tool album cover. Let's check out another DIY component, except this one goes through a lot of trouble to hide how hard it's actually working. This is the person sensor by Useful Sensors, and it does exactly what it says. If it sees a face, the light turns green. No face, no green. Connect to an Arduino, Raspberry Pi, or anything with I2C, and it spits out face-related data, like, is there a face? Is the face facing the sensor? Where is the face? Have I seen that face recently? And that's pretty much it. If you're truly lazy, you can just solder a wire to this pad, and voltage goes high when face. This is one of those products that sounds complicated for no reason, but turns out to be much more complicated for a very good reason. The main competitors are the passive infrared sensor and the motion sensor. The former sends a signal whenever a new source of heat enters the picture. The latter responds to light getting blocked or reflected. They're the standard ways to detect if someone is in a given space, to do things like switch on lights, open doors, and trigger cameras. But neither one detects people. They can be fooled by a raccoon, a burst of compressed air, a Molotov cocktail, whatever. The person sensor is looking specifically for faces, and since it can detect whether the face is looking at it and where the face is in relation to it, your project can really narrow it down, and it does all this for only like $5 more. This tiny $10 module has a crazy powerful microcontroller running a complicated computer vision algorithm, and it's crunching frames from this onboard camera to detect and track up to 4 faces every 200 milliseconds. Exactly how it does this is irrelevant. This is a black box. The inner machinations are an enigma. They don't even tell you the resolution of the camera. In a move befitting Uber chads with jawlines like boogie boards, they don't give anyone any access to any of the image data at all. All you get is face. That's privacy whether you want it or not. What do you say we make a project with it? When I was setting up this ridiculous desk, I ran some Ergobled strips around the inside of the closet, but ran out of time to actually do anything with them. So I modeled a simple enclosure for the person sensor, connected it to an ESP32 board, and Velcroed the whole shebang to my monitor. Now the rainbows only come out when I'm manning the battle station, and it works pretty well. This project only took like 3 hours to build and code, and 2 hours 45 minutes of that was learning the hard way. Pin 35 of an ESP32 is input only. Just a classical electrical engineering moment. So rating time. It does something useful, the smart stuff works better than the dumb alternatives, and if you've ever experienced the eternal torment of deploying OpenCV, $10 is a suspiciously small price to make it stop. If sensing people is what you want, this is a chef's kiss. If it's not what you want and you're still watching, you have a very low bar for entertainment. As for the smarts, I award the person sensor a tiny Homer Simpson brain. It takes a lot of smarts to make this look dumb. I initially refused to review our final product because I already have something like it, and mine sucks so absolutely hard, I struggle to believe that this product can be done well. This is the CreationSpace Pro, the most powerful pocket e-screwdriver. That is not an endorsement, that is the name of the product, and I am highly skeptical. Lately, I've been putting a new house together, and over I find myself reaching for my existing electric screwdriver, the Miniware ES121. Then I immediately regret it. The ES121 is smaller and feels more solid than the CreationSpace, but it has like 0 torque. By the time I've manually loosened a screw enough for this to take over, I might as well just do the job myself. Even though I do use this in episodes a lot, I never talk about it because I don't want anyone else to get one. F this bitch-ass screwdriver. Does the CreationSpace Pro actually live up to its name? To put it to the test, I have printed 2 copies of Akio's Gridfinity stackable modular base plates. Each has 96 countersunk hex screws, making it the ideal arena for a balls-to-the-wall screw-a-thon. The ES121 is immediately disqualified because it can't do a single screw. So the CreationSpace will square off against my ratchet driver powered by these guns. So as I tell my wife, prepare for 3 seconds of intense screwing. I managed to drive all 96 screws in just over 20 minutes with muscle power alone, and using the CreationSpace Pro I got that down to about 16. Its motor occasionally bogged down, so it took some frustrating starting and stopping to finish the job. That said, screwing screws for 20 straight minutes by hand was not a pleasant experience, and while the CreationSpace did perform better, the body is so smooth and thin, I had to just grip it way too hard. Unscrewing was a different story. Without further friction to make the ratchet action work, I ended up just using the CreationSpace to breeze through both base plates. This is where it really shone. The more disassembly you do, the more you should go electric. Overall, the fit and finish are kind of meh, it's awkwardly long, the included bit set's limited, even though it handled about 240 consecutive screws like a champ. I'm sure the gearbox is plastic and has a pretty limited lifespan. Still, for 40 bucks, it's got enough torque to actually do stuff, though not quite enough to replace elbow grease altogether. Before giving this a grade, I have to disclose this is a Kickstarter product. This particular unit appears to exist, but there's no guarantee yours will, and if it does, it may be crappier than mine. Only gamble money you can afford to lose. I am okay all in all giving this the silver medal of mediocrity. That brings us to the smart part, a whole set of non-electronic tools. Third act plot twist. We've got a little bendy adapter, a uselessly sharp spudger, bargain bin duckbill tweezers, a teeny weeny little brush, overly thick guitar pick style pry tools, and some sort of hex adapter, the purpose of which utterly eludes me. It's also got a magnetizer and demagnetizer, neither of which seems strong enough to do anything at all. But the final bits are the spicy ones, and I mean that literally. Not the spicy part, the bit part. This comes with a tiny chuck and 3 tiny drill bits. The 2.5mm bit is highly optimistic, but the smaller ones, genuinely useful. One of my 3D printing secret weapons is a pin vise, a tiny hand drill that I use to touch up holes that come out tighter than expected. The CreationSpace Pro lacks the horsepower to drill a hole, but it's got plenty to enlarge one, and the size is right. It's beefier than a pin vise, slimmer than a drill pen, and far more maneuverable than a full-on power drill. So I award the smart part a trans-dimensional uber brain, assuming you take everything except the chuck and chuck it directly in the trash. Is an unchucked chuck alone worth 10 bucks? Up chuck charge. Considering you can use the flexi extension and a drill bit simultaneously, way too much power for one man, I say yay. And that is my silly collection of smart products. Even though we had fewer definitive Chef's Kiss winners, I am actually kind of flabbergasted by the overall quality. The FlexiSpot desk, CreationSpace screwdriver, and Bambu CFP ETG are my new workshop staples. And even though I can't recommend the FLSun products wholeheartedly, ever since I modded them, they have been absolute all-stars. I'm going to hold off on doing episodes like this till at least July, but I would like to do something similar on 3D printers. I got so much support after that flood, we crossed my Patreon stretch goal, and now I have to build a Voron. Add in the V400, the Bambu X1C, the Prusa Mark IV, and I think we could have a pretty neat next-gen showdown. Let me know if that's something you'd want to see. Just a reminder, I'm going to the Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival on April 22nd, 2023, and if you'd like to coordinate meeting up, feel free to ping me on Discord. That's discord.gg/voidstarlab. I will be at the inland table showing off my 3D printed board game, Hextraction. Of course, thanks to Voidstar Lab's patrons like lab scientist Jeremy Tice, Boardfish, and William McGann, who pay the bills so conflicts of interest don't have to. Our supremely supportive collaborators are Keep to Yourself, Turner, Zay, E to the iPie, SXP, Microwave, Bitrot, Castor the Catboy, Muonic, Illusion, the Rounder of Nuts, the Final Disassembler, the Suits Ruined Our Fun, the Benevolent Misanthrope, Dysfunctional Potato, Schleppy the Schwagster, What the Chuck, and I'm literally only paying this so some dumb kid might get interested in STEM. I've hidden their names throughout this video, made them permanent parts of my lab, and am going to sneak them into the upcoming release version of Hextraction. But who could forget our lab assistant supporters? I try, I really do, but those silly names just keep getting sillier. Thank you, Entropy Ain't What He Used to Be, One Handful of Beans, Michael Roche, Karanamon, Not a Digimon, Travis Hippa, Dennis Kempen, Steven, 6 foot 6 figure 6-pack Schulte, Craft Computing, The Upstairs Neighbor's Water Heater, Circle Zero Eddie, The Lizards Are Watching Zack, Gordon Freedman, Iron Rain, Tutankhamun, I'm in a committed schmexually healthy relationship with Steve's dad, Big Bird Tommy, What Goes Bump in the Night, Kevin DeGraff, Spam, Baked Beans, Spam, and Spam, Scroto Saggins, Dead Beef, Incognito, DBD, Roger Pinkham of the Great Star Theater, Micah Freedman, who missed the boat in changing his name, Vicarious Nerdgasms, Cameron Ogletree, The Antiva, Quality Doggo, Tegan the Transpilot for the PNW wants to give you big hugs, Trump did nothing wrong, Granville Schmidt, Period Clots, Trans Right, Scratch Figure, Jamie, A Freshly Mowed Lawn, Burn, Sunburnt Cap, Boulder Creek Yard, James H, Bob Forbes, Rudy Niemeyer, Big Big Bob's Gaming. Visit omaha3dprints.com for all your 3D printed RPG product needs. Jessica Maurhan Reagan says, I put the taint, assist taint. 603 Jan Jurex, Lydia K Panic, Nathan Johnson Rinry, Juicy Legend, drinker of juicy legendary fruits, Vajelli, Dax Dastardly, Seek Seth's checks, high in binary, that's hinary, Bob Dobbington, Socks McGox, Jason, Joshua Godovin, RJ Dipcord, Onyx Blade, Cliff, Henning, Cindy Lawman, a very fine dumpster fire, Terry Dawson, Sticks, like the river, not the band, Nova Wren, Brad Cox, Jason Terrian, Kermit the OG Frog, Adam Birch, Aretnus Nair, Doom Crew Inc., Azundo Wielder of Iron, Heater of Shrink, My Dog is at Better, Sebastian Safari, SKL, Callsign Carrot, Talon Democratic Socialist, and a pretty righteous dude, 6A, 6F, 6.5, 6E, 7.5, Ryan Gooler, Dempsters, Kink Shaming Wireless, Mike Kelly, John Loves Jen, Cats, One Sleeve, Bum Tickly 69. I inspired the Next Layers YouTube channel, so you guys should check it out. General Buck Turgetson, Sir Jack Cooper, the second wilder of Frying Pan, Measure Once, Cut Twice, Reglue, Cut Again, Zeich, Bryn Wolf Schulte, Cameron Swords, Topher, Eval Bunny, Rusty Flute, John Marler, Boots Yvonne, Poopstein, Zanforian, Amanishi, Ashley Coleman, Burnduck 3, River, Accidental Breaker of Electrics, and Supreme Body of Water. Bill Schooler, Varka, Elite Giant, Michael Stormby Design, The Cuddled Fish, Good Lady Nat, Queen of Lemons, Victor of the Great Citrus Wars. Max Luck says, you're too hard on yourself. Love yourself, idiot. Cullen J. Webb thinks his wife Mindy is 155% schmexier when she's blushing, hence this message. Aww. Brad Stormer, Quantumly Tingled, Ryan Cofford, Powerful CCH, Samuel Roos, Apona Trotza, Danny Devoid of Life, Acorn, Aaron Steers, Good Suck, Pussy Nugget, but seriously, ladies, gentlemen, cyborgs, every name I read out loud is fake, seriously, on with the real subscribers, and Zap. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the future. A smarter future, meaning ergoblets. Bye-bye!